Real estate, money, and the law. This is The Experts on AM 670 KMZQ, a show that talks about the issues that hit home and matter to you. Welcome to the Richard Husel Real Estate Hour, where you get the latest information on what's hot and what's not in one of the most volatile real estate markets in the country, Las Vegas. Join the conversation by calling 702-866-6700. This is the Richard Husel Real Estate Hour on AM 670 KMZQ.
Come on, there we are. We're live in the Las Vegas Strip.
I'm on mic one.
Shadow of Mandalay Bay. Jim Dallas, co-host Brian Ichikawa, theratepro.com. Roy Branham for the Richard Husel team in our studio. We got some good news. You know, we always start off with a little bit about something related to sports. We like to tie it into the real estate and the economy, but there are some good things going, guys, that are start. We got the NBA kickoff, but we are right in the World Series of Poker.
Yes.
Is there. And why do we talk about that? It's actually a big thing for the city. You know, we talk about economic impact. We've talked about down traffic on the foot count. I've got 9,208 entrants in there for the $10,000 buy-in. I believe this is going to be the highest final win, over $10 million, right? Is that, Jim?
Yeah, $10 million is going to be the winning take. But everybody that qualifies for the final round, the final table, 9 of them, they're all going to be millionaires.
So this is going on this week.
$1 million.
They're paring it down. It's at the Horseshoe in the Paris right now. It ends on the 13th. Then they do a 3-week break. Then they come back and they reconvene it for a televised final. A little bit different in the format. Yeah. They want to monetize that a little bit more, but I was doing a little math on that. Over 100,000 room nights here and over $100,000 economic impact to Vegas. And how we figure that is people that would not be here otherwise. So kind of a big thing. But what's more exciting is the NBA Summer League is here, but related to the news that just dropped, it is all over every site if you're on Instagram or Facebook right now, is that so the Summer League has been here since, 2004. It's playing over at UNLV. We know that Vegas is going to get a new team already awarded just who the ownership group. So Foley came in, owner of the Golden Knights. He announced his bid, didn't announce exactly. We know that Magic Johnson Group is coming. What is exciting about this new group, it's called the Las Vegas Jacks, right? Pairing off the name. What are they going to do? They are announcing that they're bidding $8 billion for the franchise fee, which is significant money, but they have U.S. Bank behind them. We have 5 top executives and players, former NBA players, including a former owner of the Phoenix Suns.
Yes.
So U.S. Bank has come in and they've said, listen, not only do we have the $8 billion, but we have $13.6 billion ready to go. Who's it? Tommy with one of the union. Heard him a couple months ago. Tommy White with the union. He said, listen, we're not really excited about the Foley group. Not that he's not a great guy, but this represents like $30 million in jobs for us. It's very quick. It's in and out. We want an arena. They want to build. You should see the announcements and go on there and look. So they announced it today, just before the Summer League is in, that they want to build the best homage to the NBA. They want to do it right here. They want it to be the best arena and complete ecosystem around it in the United States, and they want to do it right here. Why do you and I get excited about it? Because we are sitting where it most likely will be. So what they've announced is they'll play at T-Mobile. They'll retrofit that right away. The Skyview, guys, we're talking about the MGM right out the window from us right now. Those big posts, they just closed for $70 million about 8 weeks ago. But it's kind of a weird project, right? He wants to build a heart-shaped hotel, kind of reminiscent of the Hard Rock in the sense of you've seen the renderings. It almost has that guitar shape. But
they would have this whole block.
So we'd have the whole block. So this is my guess. Quote me right now. This group here is going to get a lot of support because they're going to spend a lot of money in Vegas. Union's going to get well behind this, that they will make this guy an offer. They'll pay him $20-30 million profit. They're going to buy this entire square where we're sitting at Four Seasons all the way down to Jacks. But the golden, what I think is the trophy, is that we know they're going to build the FBO, which is what they call that, a fixed base operation. They can park their jets. They're going to take the tunnel under to this tower. It's going to be sitting right here, and it's going to be very exciting. I will bet dollars to donuts they're going to get it because of the amount of money they're going to spend. U.S. Bank is behind it. be kind of exciting
I
thing.
can't think
and
of
a
a
lot
better
of jobs.
location. I mean, sure, the place by the Fontainebleau, that's not bad. They've been talking about putting an arena there for a lot of years. But like you said, I mean, they can literally park their jets right across the street, get into a tunnel, and be into the stadium, the arena, in a minute.
We're talking about the Desert
incredible.
Dynamo Arena, so it's right at Four Seasons, directly across the street. I always say we open in the shadow of Mandalay Bay, directly across the street. But yes, to be able to bring in the concerts, the venue, and the entertainers, they can do the VIP entrance. We interviewed the Secretary Treasurer. He parked his plane there, but he had to come on the surface streets, coming under the security, the safety. That'd be a pretty awesome thing. I'd love to actually see that, and it'd be a big thing for our economy.
Can't wait. I think that is probably the one that will win the bid. $8 billion. That says a lot.
So the Las Vegas Jacks are submitting an $8 billion bid for the Las Vegas NBA expansion team. The team is loaded with NBA royalty and combined 85-plus years of NBA experience, led by Jerry Colangelo. I think I pronounced that. Vinny Negro, Jay Williams, and media powerhouse David Levy. So this is a group, but moreover, they have U.S. Bank, FTIG, if you're familiar. And then they have the Global Leisure Group. They're all positioning themselves. They said they have a commitment right now with the bank, with a letter. They're underwritten with $13 billion. So they're offering $8 billion. How that money breaks up is the $8 billion will get divided by the 30 teams. That's a franchise fee. They take 3% of that money and they put it in a slush fund for basically like reserves, and then they have to build and go from there. Put that in perspective, guys. You know, Allegiant Stadium, the Raiders were only worth about $2.3 billion of their new. Now the Raiders owners, I believe, about
they're
valued around
billion.
$7-8 million range billion. But that only cost what was the stadium about $1.9 to $2 billion. They're looking to spend $5 billion, and you know, I don't agree with a lot of the behind the NBA as far as the politics, right? You and I've talked about this multiple times on the air. The whole Black Lives Matter and just these really rich guys preaching to all us about what we are doing wrong. It's been a turnoff, right? We loved the old days of the NBA, but I've lost it since then. But I love it for this. It's good for the economy. And we're going to switch this up a little bit. We're going to talk about the economy and some things that are going on. The three of us today, we did a tour. So last week, July 1st, there was new rules. One of them is called the ADU. It's the additional dwelling unit. Think of it as a casita. Well, guys up in Oregon and places like California, 2 years, they've expanded these rules. These are new rules. We talked about it last week that allow you to get maybe your home put into where an HOA may not allow it as much. It doesn't delete all the rules, but what it does is it makes it very punitive for them to deny you for any reason that's truly not valid. They reduced the parking spaces from 2 or more to just 1 additional parking space. That is all you need. The other biggie, Brian, is that previously they say, oh, no, it's not a real house, so you can't put a kitchen or a washer and dryer in it typically in there. So the new rule allows you to actually do it and make it a very usable space. What you can't do, which is good for affordable housing, is you can't use it for a short-term rental. The goal is to make affordable housing, right, Brian? So we went to Boxable. They've been around for a while. You got to look them up. We're going to be posting videos. So the tour today was first rate. We put our high-vis vests on. We got our hard hats. Great tour with the guy Alexis. 400,000 square feet. Absolutely first rate. We could have been going through a Tesla factory. These are manufactured homes, and lots of things are manufactured. The difference is the process and the materials that they are using. One of the ways is the way they build it size-wise. These are 19 by 19 square. What it does is one of the biggest cost is the transportation, right? You get these full-size modular, right? And so they need a pilot truck. They need a low boy. They need all the different cranes and things. These allow them to be collapsible to them behind a dually or a smaller truck. No pilot cars required. But what they do is they set these things up in about 6 hours with a crew. They crane them right in. These are ready-to-go homes. And by the way, guys, I showed it to Dana. I sent her a video. She's like, I moved into that thing today. We live in a decent enough house. Like, they're very, very nice. So they're selling right now in California, but there's unbelievable pricing. These are ready to go. Now, the only real thing is the site prep, right? The site prep is going to take a little bit of time. You're going to have a little lead time. But once your site is ready, meaning you've got the slab done, you've got the electric in, you've got your permits and ready to go. They're installing these in 6 hours. These are built to hurricane-proof winds. They're very stable. They're unbelievable.
And we saw the video today. You saw Elon Musk was living in one.
Elon Musk is actually living in one of these. So there's 400,000 square feet. They're out in North Vegas. Why are we bringing this up? A lot of instability, guys, in the news. We've talked about home prices. We've hit, Brian, 2 months in a row. We're at $490,000 there. You and I talk every week on the Kevin Walsh Show, Jim and I.
Yes.
Affordability, right? You guys lead the news with it. It takes about $111,000, guys, to buy the average house here. Average person makes $60,000, $70,000. You can't even afford it. Then you got family, you got mom, you got kids. You know, I got two boys in college. I got a 20-year-old, I got a 22-year-old that's about to become a cop. He's an inch away. He's all but done. He's going to live with us for a while. It's too darn unaffordable to live. And this whole thing, you just kick your kids out and things. We're like, we can actually put one of these in. Now, Brian's a landlord. He's got properties in Pahrump and House it. You were looking at Boxable 2 years ago.
Yeah, we looked at it before. And the nice thing about it, no one really has a stigma about living in one of these compared to, let's say, they don't call it a trailer house.
Well, it isn't. You got to see what these things are. These have LVP flooring. They have LED lights. They have the efficiency of the appliances. High roofs. What are they? 10-foot ceilings inside.
9 feet. But people don't have a problem with living in this. It's like a trendy thing to say it's a tiny home.
Well, it's a tiny home. Let's call it what it is. Why are we bringing this up? The stock market. I've got all these guys that, they've made money here and there. Look what Bitcoin's done this year, right? Trump was supposed to be the savior for Bitcoin. By the way, he was the biggest earner of income this year, made about $2 billion on the coins, but a lot of people have not done well, right? Bitcoin sold from 128 below 60,000 recently. Gold, very recently, Jim, right at the top of the year was 56.05, trading below 4,000. We had silver at 115, down below, 58. Why do I say that? So many people try to find these different ways to put their income and do things. We got the uncertainty of AI. We got parents and rising costs for so many things. This is a way that if you have a property, maybe you are a landlord right now, and you've got a property, it's got enough room. We're going to talk about the what you can actually do with this. Maybe you didn't think you could afford it. Maybe you thought it was too hard to do. Maybe you needed a big down payment. You just were concerned with the process. So we did our tour today. We're going to talk about this more. We're going to run up on a break in a minute. Talk about some income you can do. And let me just tease this. You can buy one of these, Brian. Brian's going to talk about the financing for this. You can buy one of these properties, spend maybe $700 or $800 a month all in. Only need a little bit of equity. You can do a home equity line on this. You can pay for it in cash, multiple way. Rent these things for $1,300, $1,400 a month, or move mom out because she can have her own kitchen. She can have her own washer and dryer, have her own entrance. Everything's together, and make $500 a month on these. We're going to talk to you about it, about some of the rules and the layout that we're going to do to streamline that. We are going to be really pushing that here. It's a big thing. Appreciate you listening. This is the Richard Husel Real Estate Hour. We're back on the Richard Husel Real Estate Hour. We're talking about kind of the uncertainty of things. There's a lot of angst in the news. The assets people are putting themselves into money into, they're selling off big time. Guys are getting held holding the basket, right? I know people that got in $4,500, $5,000. Gold's going to continue to go up. Well, let's talk about why some of those assets have sold off, including SpaceX recently. Got capital flows. People have needed, a lot of people sold off Bitcoin, different things to get into SpaceX. And by the way,
right.
Did you see what SpaceX did? So I believe it opened at $256. All I care about the percentage. Had about a 45% sell-off. So a lot of people are going to have a great feeling. It went from, I think, a $256. It traded at $165 today. But the reason you've got some sell-off right now in gold and different things is we watch the Fed and the Fed speak right now. The Federal Reserve has this dual mandate, right? It's from Congress. It says we need to have full employment. At the same time, we're going to try to have even-handedly keep price stability. Price stability is another word for inflation, right? We talked about this growth rate. You've got a cost of living, right? COLA's cost of living adjustments for things. So things tend to always go up and to the right at different rates. Well, the new Fed came in, Kevin Warsh, Trump thought he was going to be a little bit more dovish.
Yes.
They're looking at the data. And what's the data saying, Brian? The data's saying inflation is there. War is an inflationary. What was the 10-year? The 10-year was down below 4%. It was 397 days before the war. We're at a 4.67. And the problem is today, Trump came in and said the ceasefire's over. Iran are scum. We're going. What did the 10-year go today? The 10-year did not like that at all.
No.
So we have a 2-year, a 5, a 10, and a 30. These tell us different things. The 2-year most reflects the fiscal policy, the monetary policies of what the Fed is going to be doing and what the Congress is signaling. The 30 years, the long end of the scale. The 10 is what we watch for the mortgage rates, right, Brian? So when you're below 4, that denotes a sub 6% on a 30, right?
Yep. No, we're at 4.6 now. So
we're at 4.6. So there's nothing great about that. And I got to tell you, I voted for Trump. I've done it. I don't always agree. Some of his speak sometime is just, he said there's no inflation. Well, I will tell you this. If you're trying to buy a house right now, I promise you this war has been inflationary. And yes, fuel's coming down. But we're still 20% over a year ago. Let's not pretend it hasn't come at some cost. It's very inflationary right now for buying a house, right? It's a 6.5. It's a 6.5, 30 years. No way to fluff that right now when we were below a 5.99 not that long ago. This takes us back to these boxables. So Brian and I, Roy, we sell commercial real estate. We're property managers. We handle this. Brian's a landlord. With these new ADU laws, I want to talk about this. Maybe this is a way that you can take some of the bad news out there. Maybe your kids are living somewhere and you can do something very affordable. And think about this. So right now in California, they're making these homes. And this is one of the things I learned in the tour today. California, if you're going to do a modular built home, they said they do a 100% inspection on every one of these. Well, they've streamlined it with California. They've had their officials come to the factory.
25%, right?
They're only inspecting 1 in 4. They said this process is so good. So right now, if you're in California, so I'm an agent in Southern California, we're doing deals. I'm going to where? Where are we going? We're going to South Lake Tahoe, by the way. We're selling Vic's house very soon, but we got deals going down there. It is a gold mine. We know how expensive rent is and it is to buy a house. So the 2-bedroom is absolutely beautiful.
2-bedroom, 1 bath, right?
2-bedroom, 1 bath. You can actually buy this for $1,300 a month. Can you imagine putting this in the backyard in Oceanside? Better efficiency. It's got a hurricane rating. They actually, in one of their videos, did you see the video? They actually take a crane. They drop a car. Now, of course, it doesn't have an engine and all the else. They drop a car on the roof. The thing doesn't budge. These are very strong engineered. These are first-rate buildings. They're fully Their rating for energy is even better.
What was it, 6 inches thick, right? The wall?
Their walls are solid core, and that they actually they have less dust than a traditional house, and they have a better heat rating. We went inside those. What was it, 108 degrees when we got out there? It was cold. It was refrigerator cold in these. They have their own splits. They're ready to go. Why are we bringing this up? There's so many properties, guys, where if you wanted to go buy a little house, what's a little house now? $400, $450 on the east side. You're going to go spend $2,800 a month to go buy this. You could buy a house, put one of these on the back. Let's say you're a landlord right now. Maybe you've got a house and you've got it, and you got all that bare space back there, especially the east side. You remember, guys, when land used to be cheap? We used to out in North Las Vegas and east side in Henderson. You'll see a house that's maybe $400,000. It's got an 8,500 square foot lot. All that bare space that's wasted. Traditionally, it's been a little bit harder to do and longer. So the new rules, it's Assembly Bill 396, says that if a municipality or an HOA delays you, there's going to be a $5,000 per se damages in this that's going to incentivize them with a threat of money to get this streamlined and the ideas for affordability. So if you've got one of those properties, so what we are doing is we are going to be, it's not official yet, we did our tour today, we're going to be working hopefully with Boxable the best we can. Also, if Boxable is not the one, you want to have a site built, we're going to be identifying properties all over.
And we have a site built not partner, but someone we can work with too.
Yeah, we got another contractor that we're not going to say yet, but it's going to be coming on. Brian's got finance. I want to talk about some of the money for this. But what is approved right now in Vegas, they're building about 8 a month. They have a ton of them in the backyard. They're headed to California. Let's talk about this studio, Brian, on their site. So this is a 19 by 19 It's 361 feet, includes your fridge, washer, dryer, everything, bathroom,
shower,
lighting.
everything.
It is ready to go. LVP floors. It is turnkey. You can buy it for $895 a month. You've got a house over near Tivoli. You're thinking of putting one of these. It's probably a $1,300 to $1,400 a month rental.
But,
I don't know very many people nowadays, Jim. We talk about the economy, the affordability. We say this all the time. It's up. Everything is up. That said, you know what? I've got $100,000 equity in my house. I can do a HELOC on this. 85% on owner occupied. Pull it out, buy one of these, and maybe move their kids that are paying $1,800 a month in some little apartment, move them closer, and have an $800 a month payment.
Yeah, no, you're right there. And it's doable.
So that's one side, right? The other one is if you're looking at it as an investor, you want some better income. We talk about this. We've been talking about this for a year, Brian. All the times when people say, "Hey, what will my house rent for?" Well, I'll tell you this: Zestimate, the Zillow. Everybody's Zillow. It's not incredibly accurate all the time, right? It's individual, but it's pretty darn close.
It's not that far.
Where it's really close is with the Zestimate. Go to a typical house. We use a round number. Look up any address. Let's just use YOLO. You can use Redfin or Realtor. You look at the all-in price, Brian, right? It's got the insurance. It's got the
taxes,
and you say, okay, it's $500,000. You put 20% down, and say the payment's $2,800. Scroll down 2 inches, and it'll give us estimate. It'll say rent will rent for around $2,400 a month. It's like, who wants to spend $100,000 down, lose $400 a month? And yes, we're not going to get into straight line depreciation and all the ways that if you're a high income earner that you can buy a house, break even, and get $10,000 a year back on your taxes on this house. But it doesn't pencil. If you have this property now and you spend $800, you can get a cash flow. Use that as a percentage wise. What is that? 8, 10? It's about a 30% positive cash flow for doing nothing but just saying, yes, I'm willing to put this. So we're looking for people that say, you know what? We're going to be working with our partner, Ticor Title. We're going to be identifying a lot of different properties. So let me just talk about, give you an example of how a house qualifies. There's something called setbacks and there's lot coverage. So let's make this real easy. You got a 10,000 square foot lot just for the sake of identifying. You say it's 70% lot coverage. What does that mean, Brian? Well, you take 3 foot setbacks, means you can't build within 3 feet of a property line. You do that math, right? Take 3 feet divided by the line, subtract that. Say you've got a 2,000 square foot, 1 story that covers it. That's lot coverage. Take the other square footage. Just call that 3,000. You got 70%. You can build a structure up to that. Now, it changes a little bit. There's also, they're not allowing you to build a property that is the same size. They typically have to be about 50%. Well, these obviously are going to work because these studios start at 361 feet. The one bedrooms are coming up. They're going to be 722 square. They all qualify, right? Now, if you get other property, you can actually possibly build 2. And this is going to work best in a non-HOA. We're going to be looking for investors that say, hey, you've identified properties. I'm not a door knocker. I'm not a cold caller. I'm excited enough about this, guys. We are. So we're putting together a little portfolio that says, listen, your property qualifies for you. Brian, here's a loan for Brian. Boxable has their own financing. Brian can do something. Maybe you need money a little special. Maybe
there's a weird thing too. If on a conventional loan, they have a provision for ADUs.
Yeah.
And you can have up to 3 on your property.
So think about this. You've got something that qualifies, or you want that income. You want to move mom in. The biggie, and I got to tell you, we're going to run up on a break, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're going to run a break. I want to talk about the kitchen and what an ADU really is supposed to be, and how the word casita gets misused, and how this is a true casita. Appreciate Ticor Title for being with us. By the way, you and I closed a deal today with Ticor. Thank you, guys. We'll be right back after this. The Richard Husel Real Estate Hour. We're back on the Richard Husel Real Estate Hour. Co-host Brian Ichikawa at theratepro.com. Richard Husel team. We got Roy Branham. We've been talking about this thing that we're kind of excited about, which is the ADU law, the Assembly Bill 396 that went into effect. Talk about casita. You look at the Lennars. They call them the next gen. I've just sold a house. I've just sold 2 houses.
And we have one.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you do. I've been to your house. I've just sold 10313 Jade Point and 10334 Jade Garden, 10 houses apart. They're both about 1.5 4 or 5 million. The one's about ready to close. These are Pulte's. They're in a Luna. By the way, the Golden Knights general manager lives 2 houses away from one of them. But they call them next gen, Brian. So you go through the gate and you come through and there's a slider. And it goes through and they got a bathroom, they've got a walk-in closet, and they have a studio. It opens up into the garage. They call it a, quote, casita. But the appraisers do not call it this. In fact, they even try to get away calling it fully improved space because doesn't have a direct entrance through the main door to the main house. You have to go via either outside or via the garage to get to it. So this term casita gets used very often. So what will happen is you have a bathroom like that. They'll put a little buffet in it, and they'll put a hot pad, a microwave.
Yeah, ours only has a microwave,
a dorm fridge, right? And most times they don't have a sink, and the reason why is we build on slabs here. We don't build on foundations. And if they're afterthought, there isn't. Now, the new ones that are being built from there, yes, they're going to have some water. Here's the rule. So the rule has been, for whatever reason the municipalities have come up with, they say, you can't put a kitchen in. It's like, really? I can cook in the front house. What's wrong with the back house if it's all done to code and everything is done right? They have their own AC. They have their own bathrooms in there, but they won't allow them to put a washer and dryer, or the kitchen's been the biggie. And I don't know that you can't put a washer and dryer, but you never see them with their own washer, right? You got to go to the main house. That really changes the whole calculus of it, calling it, because if you put a renter in it with you that's not family, do you really want them coming into your house?
Yeah, there's that door comes
laundry, right? You don't want that. That's like dorm living. That's like going to college when I lived in a quad. When I was in college, I went to Southern Oregon University before I went to U of O, and there was this place called the Quad. It was only $230, Jim. You go up the stairs. There were apartments, and you had 4 apartments, and each one would open up into a center, into a refrigerator. You had a room. Now, the washer and dryer was down there, so everybody that you never met before in your life, you shared a kitchen. Now, it was cheap. I remember going in there, stealing somebody's beer. I'd throw dollars in there, and sometimes they'd be mad at me for doing it. So that was what it is. That's the same thing if you're going to have an outside liver. This way, you can actually have the new kitchen rule. And this is what's big on here, the two things. So if you thought you had a property before, maybe you tried to get it approved, and you said, nah, it's not really what it is. It's really just a place to sleep and have a bath. The new rule is that you can actually have a kitchen. Well, these ADUs that are built ready to go, and once the slab is in place, you can have your own contractor do it. You don't have to have Boxable in particular. You know, Roy was talking, he said, can't you just have your own contractor? You absolutely can. You can just buy your own Boxable and do it. What's nice with these is they're real. They're a real house when you go into them. But you drop them in, they got the kitchen, they got the washer and dryer, they've got the bathroom, the lights and everything is ready to go. The other thing was the parking space.
Yep.
You've looked at them. So what happens is maybe you get something that qualifies and the city goes, oh, no, there's not enough parking for you. I don't know if you've been to Pacific Beach or Mission Beach or any of these places, right? High density zoning. There's nowhere to park. Nobody has it. You got these big wide streets. We got it pretty good here, right? We got lots and lots of parking. However, that one additional person, right? They don't tell you you can't have a family of 7 that lives in your house. But if that one person lives in that backyard, oh my gosh, you got to have 2 or 3 extra parking spots for this when it's really not necessary in most neighborhoods. This new rule says you only have to have 1 additional parking spot that can be yours for this. So if you thought about this, so if you have your own house, you don't need to call Brian, Roy, or I to actually go do it. You can go get Boxable. But what we are doing that we're going to be putting a lot of effort into, we're going to be reaching out to people. We're going to find a lot of off-market properties, and we're hoping hundreds of them. We're going to do an analysis. We're going to say, listen, this is what your house is probably worth now. This is what it's going to cost you to do it. Here's what your payment is. This is what your rent can be. And by the way, this is what you probably could sell your house for. So this is what are we trying to do? Yeah, we'd like you to property manage your place with us, but we're looking for somebody who wants to invest that says, no, I don't like going to Brian putting down 20% and losing $400 a month on a house. There's not as much fluff in the market. There's not that many really fixable houses. I don't know about you. You and I we're all licensed. I get 3 to 5 wholesalers every single day. I don't know if they're A or not. Do you have any properties? Do you have any properties? Everybody's looking for that.
They get my name wrong.
I get your name wrong. They're all looking for these properties, but we're going out to find them. So we're going to have a list of off-market properties, people that we're going to go up to and say, hey, you've got equity here, whether you want to have the income or let's put it up. This is what we think we can sell your house. Now, the difference between an ADU, which is called an additional dwelling unit / casita, and building a second house is they're not dividable, right, Brian?
Correct.
So what it does, it goes with the property. So if you sell it, you're selling both pieces. You're not doing a subdividable project. Roy and I were both brokers in Oregon, grew up there. I've owned multiple lots. I've had lots of properties. There's a company called Adair. Is it Adair?
Adair.
So you could not build it cheaper. You can't believe the price. They use T111 siding. It's the most basic 2x4 sides. You can't get a cheaper house. However, it's a real house. And if you had your own lot, what were the prices? You were looking at one. I had one built years ago. I know lots of people did. It was dirt cheap. It was something like $50 a foot. I mean, it was stupidly
low.
low.
It was $100,000
but a full-blown
for
house.
a 2,000 square foot house.
So a lot of houses in Oregon, if you had enough lot coverage, you could subdivide that property. That's amazing, right? So you'd buy land use, you'd buy a property, you'd split that lot off, and you'd be able to sell it as a separate house. These you're not going to be able to do. But I'm telling you, Brian, tell us about the pricing. I'm looking at the Boxable and that. Tell us about scenarios for somebody who might not qualify for a traditional conventional. They got some equity in their house. How easy could you get them some?
You can, if you have your credit score above 640, you can get a line of credit. And that line of credit, what's nice about it is, as you pay it down, the minimum payment goes down with it. So it's going to fluctuate. So it's interest only. But what's nice is you can get the product. You can buy the Boxable. You can, if you want, use their service. And they do a feasibility study. They do everything. It's turnkey, and it's dropped off there. And you can start renting it out. Have Richard find a renter for you.
We'll find a rental for you. Or the other thing is, and we have somebody that we work with now that we're talking that might be perfect. Maybe you got some money sitting there, and you're like, I haven't liked the traditional rental thing. I want positive income. I don't want to put up $100,000 and come up then lose $500 a month. Yeah, I'm building equity, but that's not a lot of fun. Let's identify properties for you. Ideally, find something that needs a $20,000, $30,000 cleanup. Could you do a 203B on the front house and then later?
There's a better loan for that.
So we were talking about this.
Yeah, there's a better conventional one that you can
We're talking
get.
about not a fix and flip, but for an occupied, right?
It's a rehab loan. Yep.
Let's talk about a rehab loan. You would identify a property that sounds appealing to you. Maybe you find an older house, east side, nice lot there. You know it'll work. It needs some cleanup. What would be a good way? Get in, get it cleaned up, get a new renter in. Do what we call the BRRRR. By the way, we used to talk about the BRRRR method. It hasn't worked as much recently because why, guys? Prices are at $490,000. There has not been the margin. You remember what was the 1% rule about you buy a property, right? It's supposed to cash flow with this.
Well, you got to find
metrics are all off.
You got to find one that's destroyed
to be able to get that kind of loan, right? So the BRRRR method is the buy, rehab, rent. Refinance, repeat. You draw out your money, and hopefully, in a perfect world, it's a lovely way to become a millionaire in a hurry, and it has worked for us in the past. Right now, it's a little tougher to do, but with this scenario, you identify the right property. We have a house. I can't think of the address. We got photos on Monday. We have got one right now, 8,500 square foot lot, remodeled, $460, no HOA. I might buy it off market. I already got the signed listing for it. I'm looking at it. I'm going to actually show you. I'm like, I might just throw a Boxable on this. Is over by Warm Springs in Eastern, previous seller. And he's like, we're ready to go on the market. Photos Monday. I'm like, that might be my first Boxable because the metrics, the dollars seem to make sense when you throw this onto the property, where right now I'm not out looking for anything. I want to be, we all want to have a certain amount of doors. You've got more doors than me. I've had more before. I want to add them. But I don't want to add them in a market where I got
Carla has it all worked out.
So your wife is a killer. You guys are buying properties.
She knows, like, you want to put a fence, so the people that are living in the Boxable don't have to see the people living in the main house.
Sure.
And, the main house people don't have to see the Boxable people. It's all separate.
You see that?
I don't.
We're looking at the news. We're going to talk. So I'm host for Kevin Walsh Show tomorrow. Did he actually drop out? Wow.
Yeah.
I would tell him not to drop out. He has everything to gain by staying in, nothing to lose. He's this close. He was hours away from actually being on the ballot for sure.
Yeah, they're
shocking. That was
on Fox. They're showing his house, and there must be a half a dozen cars in the front yard.
So I'm hosting with you tomorrow. The great Kevin Wall is on vacation. I'll be the host from 12 to 3. That has killed my monologue for the first 15 minutes. I've been working all day.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I'm the political advisor. I'd say, you've got nothing now. Listen, is he maybe a scumbag? Maybe he is. However, he's got everything to win. And if he lost 47-53, he could say, listen, I went up against Susan Collins. I had a shot to win. I could maybe run at a different level. He dropped out. He's toast now. I am shocked that he did that. He had everything.
I wonder what he does for work after this.
Well, he's an oyster farmer. He makes $5,000 a year. You know,
$5,000 a year. That's what he's made as an oysterman. $5,000.
Well, that's better than about 70% of real estate agents last 3 years. I mean, it's been a very tough market if you're not.
So
in the
one
top,
house and you're in the top what?
You're in the top. Well, by definition, if you haven't sold, zero is the average. 71% have sold zero the last 2 years.
Wow.
So if you sell one, you're in the top 25, 30%. So my son, who was an agent, 20, I made sure I put his first deal as a favor to him. He was in the top 25% of all agents last year at 19 years old because he sold an actual house. We are going to take another break. We're going to talk a little more NBA, a little bit more about this idea that we're excited about getting some income. We appreciate our partner, Ticor Title. Thank you, guys. This is the Richard Husel Real Estate Hour. Well, we're going to talk about the income. We're back on the Richard Husel Real Estate Hour with our partner, Ticor Title. We closed a deal today with Ticor. We just mentioned that. They are our partner. They help us out. We are going to be enlisting their services. I'm going to talk to Jeremy Wallace, say, hey, I'm going to see if I can put your team to work. What we're going to be doing, we're looking for these different homes. You had a stat, Roy Branham, who's on my team, been my buddy of 25 plus years, current broker up in Oregon. He's actually living with us for 2 months. He is all in. He came down. He goes, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to come down here. I think you got the best real estate setup in the U.S. What's so good about our program? You know it right off the top. You don't even need for this. What do we do for people that really nobody?
We do everything for people.
Let's talk about the one call. We handle it all. What is it?
One call. We handle it all. We give you. We come over to your house. We evaluate, see what needs to be done, whether it needs to be painted, what's going on. We bring you moving boxes. We bring you tape. We bring you bubble wrap.
Everything you need to get your cleanup.
All you got to do is just pack them up, set them in the room, and we'll come throw them on the truck and move you to your new house.
Now, let's even go before the photo prep. We help with the decluttering. So we've got a fleet of new box trucks. We have a licensed in-house handyman service. We do the light stuff. So I'll give you an example. I got somebody who wants to sell. They're moving back east. We just had somebody moving to Florida. They've got stuff they don't want to move. They look at it and they go, 3 pods is $16,000. Do I really want to move this $800 couch for $5,000? The answer is a lot of times no, but they still want to monetize, get some money out of it. So what we do as a service, we typically do it. We try to consolidate it so it's done quickly. We either help you post ads, you keep the money, we help deliver it. We'll maybe drop them off to your kids. We'll give it away. We'll drop it off at a veteran charity, but we help you get it. We also help with that final clean out. Plus we do top marketing, right? We do great marketing. Yeah. We're top 2% agents. We got everything is included. And the difference between, this, Brian, the guys that have made their big names, they've made their millions, you never talk to those guys anymore. If you're not selling a $5 million house, you're talking to some lackey or some 20-year-old that sold no houses.
No, you call Richard. Richard answers.
We actually answer our phone and actually do it. We're not trying to be the biggest, but we are trying to be the best. So Roy came down here, but give us the stat. We're gonna change gears in a minute, but the money is, when we talk about cash on cash income, what is it? Is the payback
I was just saying
on this?
That the gross annual rent was $15,600 a year if you get one of those Boxables in your backyard.
So if you're interested in this, and by the way, Boxable, you can build your own site-built ADU. It does not have to be. The convenience of this is you don't have to deal with us.
It's pre-engineered.
You go down and look at it. Go down to the factory. Take us in there. We'll walk this with you. This is it. It's pre-engineered. By the way, so they have a whole row of the facades. So they come one way. They had a country one. They had a Pueblo. They had one that looked
like a log cabin.
They had one that was looked in Palm Springs. You can decorate this any way you like. You can do slabs, but if you want to be the income, you'd like us to do the legwork for you and find you some properties. By the way, you can do flat roof. You can do pitch roof if you're architectural. You can do a slant roof. All these different things. And by the way, Geldwin windows. This is a really well built.
Well, we saw some other stuff there, too, some prototypes, right?
So they're doing prototypes. So in California, they got the 2 bedrooms. These are pretty incredible. You can buy a 2-bedroom. We're talking about $120 to $130 built price. Try this is ready to go. But they're going to be offering these, but we're going to have these ready for you. Let's talk just a little bit at the end. What do we got for news? The home. Let's talk about the all-time record high prices. We're at $490, guys, 2 months in a row. Rates are up.
Like you talked about, though, it's a little skewed. Because a lot of the over $1 million stuff still selling.
So let's talk about that. We have what we call a bifurcated market in a lot of ways. Below $1 million, we got days on market are up, significantly up. And by the way, I want to talk about these days on market. You hear these numbers, and you talk about median and the average, and it's so easy to get confused with the news. A lot of people are doing it, and I have people asking me to do it. They take their house off market, they withdraw it, or they let it expire. They leave it off 24 hours. They put it on market. It's a new born-again virgin. It is not. It's combined days on market. If you look at the real days on market, we're in the 90-plus days on there. It's not the 35 or 40 because so many houses are being
Well, the thing is that you're competing against a new construction, and they're offering some big incentives to everybody. But you can do the same thing. We can do buy-downs.
But let's go back to the two different markets. The luxury market, $1 million plus. What do we have? Probably 5 deals over $1 million current listings right now. We're up about 13.1% May over May, year over year on prices. Days in market are actually relatively low. And we see this because Review Journal came out 2 days ago and said California politics, different things are moving. It is still our number one move to market here. Taxes, all the reasons to come here is there. But below that market, well, why do we say that? It's not always a great time to buy if you can't afford the rate and things. However, if rates do end up changing, we talk about this all the time, competition will be up.
Quite a bit.
This is a chance to go out and hit some sellers and say, yes, prices are still up, but here's the reason. Get some good comps on it. Get an agent that'll do some legwork for you, compare it to other homes, make some offers.
Oh, yeah. No, you can do that, and then that's the advice we always give is try to to cover your closing costs, maybe buy the rate down.
Let's talk about buy downs. Because the prices are still so high, a lot of people have equity. If rate and payment is your big factor, there's enough equity in these houses now. Appraisals are still coming in nice and high. You might be able to buy that rate down in that.
Yeah, because better than them saying, hey, let's consider a price cut on this house before you chop it down $20,000. Let's put it into perspective and make it more affordable for somebody.
So let's use $10,000 as an easy number. What is the payment if I got a house that's $500, I drop it $10,000? What does that reflect in my payment? Maybe $70.
$70.
Not $70. However, you take that $10,000 based on your needs and buy it down. If you're at your limit, and you take that $10,000, do a buy down on that fictitious $500,000.
Well, the one that has the biggest impact is like a 2 or 3-1 buy down. That means if you had a 6% rate, the first year will be only in the 3s, and then it goes a 4 and 5. You know what I mean?
So that first year you could drop your payment, what, $300?
Quite a bit, yeah.
$300.
Yeah, and then but what happens is you get used to that payment. So you qualify on the higher rate. You
have to qualify for the end payment, right? They still don't want you getting stuck with it. However, for whatever reason, you need that lower payment now, you can do it. I want to talk about the stack for a minute. We love the luxury. We got to get back to our fancy, our cars. What is exciting? Ryan, look at the stack.Vegas. We're representing 29 of the ultra luxury condos. These are places that are going to be storing $30 and $40 million cars. It's up on the
Raiders Way.
On Raiders Way, but we got the exciting news now. While we don't have our occupancy permit, we're allowed to we're so close. We're working with Lifted. We're going to start getting our lifts and our floorings in for the first unit.
Yep.
We're going to bring some Ferrari F40. We're going to $100,000 Camaros. Very exciting. We're your car guys. We're agents. We take care of everything for you. One call.
We handle it all.
We're running up. I'm going to be hosting the Kevin Wall show tomorrow with Jim Dallas. We're going to have TJ Mars, a friend of our show here. We're going to have the real Bobby Kahn is going to be on, running for CD1, and other guests. Look forward to seeing you. Thank you, Tycord Title. Thank you, guys. We appreciate you listening. This is Richard Husel, Real Estate Hour.